Rob, I guess first up, the extension. How do you feel about getting at least one more year? And are you taking it year by year at this point, or would you look long term? You'd like to keep going?
No, I think year by year is good with me. I've mentioned it many times. This is the only place I want to be, and this will be my last stop. I am also very happy that our entire coaching staff is coming back, because many managers will say it, but I truly believe that we have the best coaching staff in baseball. They work hard. They care about the players. They respect the players. And they get results for the most part.
Let's go to Lachlan on the left.
Hi, Rob. Dave mentioned the offseason program that you guys have for Taijuan Walker.
Yeah.
What is your confidence level that he'll be able to turn the page after the season that he had?
I think it's very high, because I think Taijuan's going into this thing, he's approaching it as if he's got to win a job. And so I think, knowing Ty, he's going to give his best effort to get this thing done. And I think during the season when we put him on this program, he was making strides. We had to cut the program off a little bit short because we needed him. I think if with the entire off season, I think we'll see more of an improvement. That's what I'm hoping.
Go to Scott on the left.
Hey, Rob, when you think about your offense and the profile of the offense as a whole, does it need to change a little bit? Did they maybe become a little too easy to pitch to throughout the course of the year? How do you sort of view how the offense profiles just in general?
Yeah, I think, and I've spoken to it many times, I think we really have to get them to buy into using the entire field. I think that will, and I know everybody talks about chase rate. I think just doing that will cut down on chase rate, because you're going to stay on the ball a little bit longer, and you're going to, you watch the playoff series, the Yankees game. I just pulled up, I didn't watch the game, but I pulled up all their base hits. Everything was from gap to gap last night. And if you do that, you have a chance to cover all pitches in any zone, and you're not going to be susceptible to the off-speed away especially. So I think, again, it'll cut down on chase, and you have a better chance to get base hits. These guys are so strong, our power guys. They can hit the ball out of any part of the ballpark. They just have to be able to stay on the ball.
So, I mean, obviously you'll coach them up a little bit to do that sort of thing, but does the mix need to change at all? I mean, do you have the personnel to hit the ball, to use the field the way you want to consistently?
Oh, I think so. I really do. You take the young guys, Bohm, Stott, Marsh. They all have the ability to hit the ball the other way. Harper obviously does. Castellanos, when he's at his best, he's hitting the ball the other way. We got to get Trey, and Trey knows that that's the way what his approach needs to be. We just have to make sure that we can help him in every way to get that done. And it's nothing that Kevin and the other hitting coaches haven't been pushing. We just have to get them to buy in and come up with a plan for them.
Okay, Todd on the left.
Rob, now the last two postseason series offensively have not gone well. Wondering why you think the message that Kevin Long and his staff is delivering is reaching his players in terms of why you wanted them to come back.
With Kevin?
Yeah, with Kevin.
Oh, I think if you go around baseball and you talk to every baseball person and say, okay, give me your top 5 hitting coaches in baseball, he's going to be on almost every list, and he's going to be number 1 on a lot of lists. I think, it's a random game. People get sped up. We got to be able to slow them down. And even if they have the opposite field approach, still they get sped up at times. We have to make sure that they're doing little things, pass baton, trust your teammates, keep the line moving.
Is it realistic to expect these guys to go into the offseason and make changes? In other words, like maybe this is just kind of who they are offensively, and no matter how much you talk about using the whole field and gap to gap, that these just aren't the guys that can do that?
Well, I think to a man we've seen at times all of them being able to use the field. So I think that they need to take that approach a little bit more, and I think they can do it.
We go to Dave right in the front.
I recognize, Rob, that we're almost a week removed from Game 4, but to go back to Game 4, what was the reason that Zach didn't have a role other than emergency pitcher in extra innings? Why wasn't he used in the 6th to maybe give you a couple of innings, and I guess by extension, Christopher Sanchez as well?
Well, Zach's working on 3 days rest, and Sanchez working on 2 days rest. So I'm not gonna put their future in doubt with this franchise. I just won't. I was a little more. It was Sanchez's bullpen day. Zach had thrown a bullpen the day before, getting ready for Game 5. So I was a little bit. Sanchez was a little bit more available to me than Zach was. Now we get into that game and we get into leverage situations late in games coming out of the bullpen. Sanchez hasn't done that all year, so that's why I stuck with our main relievers, who had been very good all year. It just for whatever reason, it just didn't happen in the postseason. So that's where I'm at with that.
And I know you expressed last week that the window is certainly not closed on this ball club, but after finishing further away from a world championship for 2 consecutive seasons after 22, why should fans believe that next season this club can make a deep run in October like 22?
Well, I think just because of the core. I mean, we have a good ball club. This is the roster is a championship roster. It really is. Dave and the front office have done a great job. Now, we haven't gotten it done. I haven't gotten it done. Do we make some tweaks for next year? Do we, we've already talked about it. Do we turn the lineup around, move people around to possibly get a more consistent offense? I don't know. We got to talk about it. At the start of the season, do we give more guys more days off? And I'm not just talking JT or 1 or 2. I'm talking about everybody, just so that maybe was it fatigue that set in July? Maybe by giving guys an extra day off here and there early, we can extend that run a little bit longer and right into October.
Go to Martin on the left.
Hey, Rob. Obviously, this year, there was a big concern about Marsh and Stott hitting lefties. Do you still think those guys can become good hitters against left-handed pitchers, or do you kind of go into next year thinking you might have to keep platooning those guys?
I think the performance of Marsh the last month, 6 weeks against lefties showed me a lot. I think he changed his approach. At the start of the season, he started off very well, and then I think he may have gotten a little pull happy, and then he got back to hitting the ball the other way and thinking the other way anyway. And I think that really helped him against left-handed pitching. And so it gives me a little bit of confidence that has that ability. And I think Stott has always had that ability. I just think Stott's swing changed a little bit during the course of the year. He's got to get back to who he is, and that's grinding out pitchers, seeing a lot of pitches, using the other field, hitting line drives. We don't expect him to hit 25 home runs. He's going to run into some, but we need to get him on base and chew up pitches for the rest of the lineup.
Go to Alex in the front.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
We know that chase rate was a big focus from spring training on, but you mentioned the importance of using the whole field, hitting the ball the other way. How much of a focus was that? How much was that message delivered to the guys?
I think that message was delivered almost on a daily basis, and I think you just have to get them to slow the game down at times and stay in that approach. Be cognizant that the pitchers are going to try and get you to chase because that's what the numbers say. If you stay with that approach, I think you cut down on chase. I think you get more base hits, and I think you score more runs.
Is there something you think the coaching staff or the player, something that could be done differently so that message like works a little bit more or gets through a little bit more?
Yeah, that'll be something that Kevin and the coaching and the hitting coaches and I will talk about and see if there's some drills or some cues, whatever, to get them to do that.
Okay, Jim on the left.
Rob, do you plan on spending any time with Bohm, or have you spent any time with Bohm? You know, talk to him after the frustration he showed. I know after you sat him, you spoke to him, but will that be something you look at this winter and this offseason to get him in a good frame of mind? He's an important young player.
He really is, and he's a really good player, and he just, and I know that there's a lot of talk of, you know, the second half or the last couple of months, his production wasn't the same, but he was, I mean, off the charts production at the start of the season. I'm not sure if you can expect a guy to maintain that through the entire year, and his numbers at the end of this year are actually better than they were last year, so he's making some improvement. But yeah, I think that is a priority of mine to maybe not spend time with him, but be on the phone with him, text with him, stay in contact with him.
And how did you end the season health-wise, in particular Bryce Harper with the elbow or the wrist? Will there be anything looked at down the road here or this offseason?
No, I think he just needs rest.
Okay, let's go to Dave Murphy, middle.
Hey, Rob. If you look at Trey Turner, his fly ball rate has ticked up here recently, and the line drive rate is down from what it was when he was kind of really at his peak. But at the same time, I mean, pitching has gotten a lot better, you know, since he broke into the majors. I think velo's up a couple miles an hour just since he broke in. So do you look at it as like there are things he can do mechanically to get kind of that line drive swing back and be that hitter that kind of peppers all corners of the field?
Absolutely.
Or is it more guys approaching him differently on the mound?
Oh, I think it's a little bit of both. I think they are approaching him a little bit differently. Excuse me. But yeah, I think there's some tweaks in his mechanics that Kevin will go to work on this winter to get him to use the field, to get him to hit line drives. He's another guy. He gets on base and he creates a lot of chaos, and we don't need him to hit. He's going to run into 25 just because he hits the ball. I don't know how he does it, as small as he is, but he hits the ball a long way. But we need to get him on base, and we need to get him to steal bases and create that havoc.
Okay, Devin in the front.
Hi, Rob. So you kind of touched on this earlier, but the second half of the season, or really when you guys returned from London, there's a clear drop-off. Is there one or even a few, specific things that you can pinpoint as to what happened? Was it burnout from the hot start, and how do you, prevent that from happening again next season?
Yeah, if it was that, like I touched on it earlier, maybe it's giving guys some days off earlier in the season so that the fatigue doesn't set in. But fatigue's going to set in with everybody in baseball. It's just a grueling game, and so many games and so many days. And yeah, I can't really put my finger on it. I know the questions have been asked, did they lose their edge? I don't think so. I mean, I'm around these guys every day, and they come in and work their tails off every day and compete. And I don't think there was anything like that. I think we just got on, we got into a bad spot there for a bit, and like every team, and we fought out of it. Let's not forget, we won 15 games in 5 out of the 6 months. So that's pretty good sledding. And we won 95 games to win a division, but that's not the standard here. The standard now is to win world championships. So I don't think there's any edge lost at all.
Let's go to Rob in the middle.
Rob, on the fatigue also, your catchers seem to be playing a lot as usual. Dave talked about a possible plan of cutting his time back a little bit. How realistically would you go about doing that, given the current state of the backups?
Yeah, I've got to talk to JT about that, first of all. But, we'll put a plan together, and whoever that backup is, we don't know yet. But we'll put a plan together, because I think, if you give JT some time off, some more time off, I think his numbers will get better.
Same category, really. Do you think fatigue played a big part in what happened with your bullpen in the postseason?
Geez, I don't think so. The velocity was still there. You take Hoffman's case, 80% first pitch strikes, 70% pre-2K strikes. He just had trouble putting them away, and I think he was trying to make perfect pitches to put people away, and that's why you saw a couple of spikes there in that last game. He was just trying to be too fine, but I don't think fatigue had anything to do with it. I really don't.
Go to Tim in the right.
Following up on JT, he was asked in spring training if he thought he could benefit from a little more time off, and he kind of pushed back against it. So how do you convince him that might be what's best for him at this stage?
I'm not sure yet. He's a tough guy, and he's a guy like a lot of our guys. They want to play every day, but I'll have to do some convincing, I guess.
Let's go to Ty, back left.
Rob, what did you make of Bryce's first full year at first base? His defense, and along with how you could maybe arrange the outfield every day. You don't have to worry about him only being the DH and moving back and forth. Just what do you make of that first full year?
With Harper being DH or Schwarber?
No, so what did you think of, in the last year you had to, Bryce was the DH, so then you had to fix Schwarber in the left. So what do you think of, one, Harper's defense, and then knowing he was going to be at first every single day and how that made up your alignment?
I thought he was fantastic at first base. I really did. For a guy that's never played there before, and everybody thinks, we'll just throw somebody at first base. It's not that easy. He really took to it very well. And I think he's, defensively one of the best first basemen in baseball, to tell you the truth. He's come that far that quick. And, he still gets caught out of position at times on ground balls, not 3-4 hole, but that a lot of first basemen do. He'll just get better at that. But he's quite an athlete. He really has quite a baseball mind to be able to take to that as quickly as he has.
Colin, front left.
Rob, how would you self-assess the way that you collaborated with Dave in the front office and delivered the best messages to the players that you want to be an emphasis of the team?
Ask that again.
How do you think you collaborated with Dave in the front office and delivered the right messages to the team?
Well, as far as collaboration with the front office, we work together very well. And even when we talk about the trade deadline, I was all in on not going after a fifth starter, to tell you the truth, because of where we were at with Tyler Phillips and Taijuan coming back, Turnbull coming back. We didn't know he was going to have a setback, and frankly, picking up Hayes I thought was going to be a benefit. It didn't work out that way because he had the kidney infection, but Estevez did very well, and Banks played the role that he was supposed to play. So as far as the collaboration with that was very good. My message to the players is always about working hard, so preparing, competing, being selfless in what you do, and having fun at the same time. And they do that. They do that. They compete as well as anybody, and they have fun while they're doing it. It's a fun group to be around, and I wouldn't want to be around any other group.
Let's go to Marcus in the front.
Hey, Rob. Kyle Schwarber didn't have a great NLDS, but he hit almost 250 for the first time in a couple of years. And why do you think he improved as a hitter? And do you foresee him as your leadoff guy next year?
Well, the lineup construction, we're going to go through that and try and figure out a better way to have score runs on a consistent basis a little bit more. Is there a different way? is it best to have Kyle in the leadoff spot? Don't know. We've won a lot of games with him in the leadoff spot, so we got to really think about this. I think the reason that he had a better year was he went into the offseason last year wanting to cut down on his strikeouts. And so he wanted to think more, just what I was talking about earlier, thinking more about hitting the ball the other way, staying on the baseball. And he did that, and I think it really helped him with left-handed pitching. His numbers against left-handed pitching were probably the best he's had in his career. And I think, you know, if more guys take that approach, we're going to chase less, we're going to score more runs.
And I think we forget sometimes that JT missed about 5 or 6 weeks with a knee injury that he entered the season with and then dealt with during the down the stretch. He told me a couple times that it was always there. How much do you think that influenced his production year long, really, since he had it all year? And do you think that there could be an uptick next year if the knee is a little healthier?
Yeah, I think it affected him a lot with his numbers, and I do think that the numbers will go back up a little bit, and I'm hoping that if I can persuade him or talk to him about having a few more days off earlier in the season, that the numbers even get better.
You guys ran into one of the hottest hitters you'll see in the postseason in Vientos, and I guess Lindor's not really far behind him at this point. And we've seen in your guys' runs how much that can matter when only one or two guys are just on that unconscious streak. Does it make it difficult to kind of like judge, what really happened when guys are that hot, and what you actually need to do with this team? How much of it was just a short series and two of the hottest hitters on the planet and a pitching staff you don't match up well with versus, something fundamentally needs to change?
Right, yeah. I think we ran into the hottest team in baseball. And what they went through on the doubleheader to get in and then go in and beat Milwaukee, they had a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum. And so, not that we played particularly well, but we ran into a hot club. And so I think we, some of this we need to downplay a little bit and not just think about blowing up the club, because that's not going to happen, one. And we got a really good roster. So, short series, very random, this game. I really have a lot of confidence in this club moving forward.
I don't know if you can answer this without sounding like you're making excuses or anything, but I mean, a 5-game series, it's a short series, and it's a completely different animal than a 7-game series. Couple that with kind of the wild card format right now. Is there anything you would change about this postseason format in terms of, how do you reward teams that win the division and don't put? It just seems like people aren't playing on the same kind of even playing field when you've got teams, playing 3 games against teams that are off for 5 games. And, is there anything you would change, whether it's a 7-game series, the NLDS, or everyone plays in the wild card round?
Well, I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about rules because they're out of my control. I would spend more time thinking about, okay, did we do the right thing between the end of the season and the first playoff game? Did I prepare these guys properly? That's what I think about. Do I want to play in the wild card series? Probably not. I mean, you want to win the division, right? That's your goal. So then you got to deal with, okay, what do you do with that time off? And did you do the right thing? Should we have had, instead of a 9-inning inter-squad game on Wednesday, should we have had a 4.5 inning and a 4.5 inning on Wednesday and Thursday? I don't know, but those are the things I think about as opposed to changing the format.
Okay, Anthony in the middle. Rob, this might kind of relate to what you just said, but a year ago, you sat here on this at the dais and said you did some self-reflection and there were some changes some things you would have liked to have done differently. I wonder if this year you've had some of those same thoughts. Are there things that you would have liked to have done differently?
Everything that went wrong, I would have liked to do differently.
here in the front.
Hey, Rob, I just wanted to know what encouraged you about Johan Rojas in the second half, and in Clearwater, what would you like to see him progress on?
Well, his chase rate went down. His use of the field got better. I still want, the plan really is to improve on all of that, and also to cut down on his swing, make more contact, line drives. The home runs will come in time with age, with experience. Continue to improve his bunting, although it got a lot better. His short game got a lot better. But I think just cutting down on his swing and being able to stay inside the baseball and use the entire field is number one for me.
Okay, got a couple more. Start with Alex on the left.
You and Dave have both mentioned that there are certain players in the lineup who don't need to hit a ton of home runs. And I'm wondering, with guys like Stott, Rojas, Trey, did you sense that maybe they were trying to do that, trying too hard to hit home runs, or felt like they needed to?
Yeah, I think possibly at times, But those guys will end up hitting home runs, but we just want them to be better hitters, get on base, chew up pitches. They'll hit their home runs, especially Stott. He's strong enough. He's going to run into a few. Marsh is going to run into home runs. Bohm's going to run into home runs. Just be good hitters. Just, be table setters. That's what we're looking for with those guys.
Okay, Jimmy on the left.
Rob, you mentioned you would look at the lineup and how it might work best and evaluate if Kyle should hit elsewhere. If he's not the leadoff man, is the leadoff man here now, or do you need to go out and get somebody to fill that role?
Well, I think it would be here now. Some people may have to change their approach a little bit, but again, I don't know if that's the best thing to do, is to move Kyle out of the leadoff spot, because he's really good at it, but it may help protect other people.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll stop there. So thank you, Rob. Thanks
Thank
everyone
you.
for joining us today.